I'm curious, have you noticed the different types of motivators in your clients? What keeps people motivated, or what are the different ways that people find motivation?
Oh, that's such a good question, a good topic. I was thinking about making fun of musicians when I was like a teenager, well, this person got happy and it's not good music anymore. Uh, um, like Adele, I need you to break up again.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
I need more sad music, please.
yeah, because we love that purge and the expression, and there's a lot of stereotypes and tropes around this. Like, what does it mean to be funny or creative? And well, they must be very depressed and insane. And it's like this fantasy land of how you can create this character, right? You must be a little bit off if you're going to make anything worthwhile, and that's all just BS, right? It's all just a story.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see a lot of that. It's anxiety as a motivator. I think you're really onto something there where when people lose that, there's a tendency to want to be comfortably miserable with life, with relationships, with work. Where if I can be stuck in this known place, at least I know it and I can complain about it. And that's addictive. Getting that like dopamine drip just from, you're training yourself to be addicted to misery. Um, and it can be a transition. It's a tough transition. It's not going to, you are going to lose some performance at first. And, it's funny. I was just listening to James Nestor. He wrote the book Breath, and he was talking about we all need to be breathing through our noses because it's this filtration system. It's like this magical instrument designed to intake air and filter it and give it to our body. But a lot of us are mouth breathers, and it's really difficult for us and athletes in particular to train themselves to stop breathing through their mouths and breathe through their noses, because not only is it uncomfortable at first, but like a muscle, you will lose it. Your nose will get clogged and you'll be less able to use it, et cetera. So, this vicious cycle. But the more you train to do that, the easier it gets. However, you will experience a performance drop at first. Um, it's just like my dad ran track and he had to relearn how to run because his form was bad and he got slower. But it's long-term health, it's long-term success, longevity, right? That you will experience that short-term drop and change. And to allow yourself to, if you can embrace that feeling of uncertainty and being anxious about not being anxious, eventually it just gets easier. Just all of life is uncertainty. And the more you can come to peace with that, just the better everything gets. I mean, the easier it is to feel at ease and to make stuff without feeling pressured to perform it for somebody else or, like you said, having that anxiety as a motivator. It's instead just, what do you want to create? Because it means everything to, because deathbed you would regret you not doing it versus what will somebody think if I don't do this or I do this.
How much of this do you think is tied to age or maturity, whichever way we want to define it, right? In how folks act throughout their lives, right? As we think about our deathbed selves, I always find it interesting to talk to folks who are a bit older and just kind of listen to how they talk about work and careers and things like that, and how different that is from someone who's 21 who's like, no, if we're not doing this, if I don't find my dream job tomorrow, what have you sort of seen in your work changes throughout people's lives? Are there sort of phases that we go through in our brain's development from youth to, maturity? What sort of things do you typically see, or is there no difference throughout life and everyone's at a different place?
Absolutely. There's a difference in everybody, in every year, in every moment. We're all capable of change. Our brain, the neuroplasticity of it, we can constantly be changing the way we see and feel and think and behave and create in the world. Yes, there's also a difference in when we're, early adulthood, early 20s, we're like kids in adult bodies. And people look at us and expect us to be adults, and we're kind of rah rah about it. but our frontal lobe isn't even fully developed. We don't even have fully developed compassion or capacity for it. Empathy and compassion, that part of our prefrontal cortex is still learning and developing and growing. Uh, so it's very easy to be, one of the things the brain does really well is be self-referential. So it's comparing everything out in the world and saying, well, this is what I should be doing. What about me? And I think the older and more mature and wiser we get, we realize that that distinction between us and the rest of the world is more of an illusion that we've just created. It's our ego protecting us. It's creating some kind of identity to keep us alive. Ego has a purpose, right? It is to keep us alive. And, um, but it's a double-edged sword. So if we can learn to, again, take that lightly, ease up on it, and have more fun with life and the world, and realize that I think you can constantly be changing and growing. Did I answer that
Yeah,
question
well,
completely?
and digging into that ego piece, what's been your journey with the ego? What has been maybe the arc from where you started to the content that you're creating today?
Ooh. Let's see. So when I had my first real job after college at an agency, I was all ego and largely it's like, 20s, and I had all these ideas about what I should be doing, what this could look like, and I fundamentally disagreed with a lot of the things that the way that the agency was doing things and what they expected of me didn't align to what I thought I should be doing, what felt right. This is why I like to joke a lot that I'm unemployable. Because expressing a lot of opinions and saying, no, I think instead of logging all these billable hours, I'm going to make a direct mail campaign and doodle some stick figures, and that's more fun. Um, so I think, and then getting fired, I call it getting quit, because they told me I quit. It's a long story. They told me I quit, and I went in and I was like, no, you're going to have to fire me. Um, that was extremely humbling. Uh, and nerve wracking. And it's like all of the stories that come with that, it's like, oh my God, I'm not good enough to keep a job. And what do they think of me? What am I going to do? And that whole mental swirl that we go through when we're faced with rejection. I think that being rejected is pursue being rejected, like by creating stuff, putting it out there, saying stuff, trying stuff out, and temper that with kindness. And I think we just learn that more as we go. I'm now in my late 30s, and I think I've gotten a lot better at maintaining a healthier perspective on, the balance between having strong opinions and wanting to express myself, and also realizing that people are where they are, and we all have a lot of fears and uncertainties, and I don't want anyone to ever feel stuck in shame or regret or feeling like they can't be themselves. So, yeah, I think the journey of the ego, I look forward to that continuing to lighten, and to really be present in being and making stuff that helps bring more joy and levity to the world.
And I wonder if that's something that is almost fostered in the advertising kind of media world. Because I know, I was in the marketing advertising world as well. And you have a lot of people who are really good at reading people, really good at creativity, really good at expression and self-expression. And they kind of get into that field because they think, oh, it's artistic, or oh, it's like the business way to get my creativity out. And there's a friction that tends to happen, or at least that I see happens a lot with folks, where you have the one group who's like, I'm a client manager and I'm good at email and all that scheduling and everything. And then you have the other side, which is like, this is slowly draining me all the life out of me, right?
I'm an artist.
Exactly. And, I always joke with my clients, it's like, don't get into advertising thinking it's Mad Men, right? Like, don't buy into the movie version of jobs in a lot of ways. Go talk to real people and hear what it's really like.